Ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Welcome to another episode of Grassroots Chats.
I'll be very surprised if Man United get rid of Pogba now. I can see them allowing him to sign a pre-contract with someone to go in the summer.
It's staying up, man. They've got every faith in Newcastle.
All right.
It was time for Martial to leave about 2 years ago, to be honest. I don't know what he's doing there.
Martins.
Ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Welcome to another episode of Grassroots Chats 2022. And with me in the studio, we have Mr. Thanos. Welcome back after going for parties and not inviting the rest of your friends. And of course, Chris Waddle Hinder. How's it been going? I hope you have started the new year in a wonderful way. And of course, the angry one will always be angry even into 2022. How you doing? You recovering well from your nice, wonderful COVID?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Can't complain.
All right, good. So we thought we'd take a different swing this time. But before that, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe, like, watch, give us your comments. Tell everybody, give us comments and tell everybody how Angry One is such a wonderful, ugly Grinch. But other than that, we can have a wonderful show. Okay, people, let's start. We're actually starting our first show of 2022, and we're not going into the nitty-gritty and how we like to go into wonderful games, but we're going to actually open the transfer window and go into different situations, possible and potential transfers. But before we do that, let's start with the rumors. I'll start with rumor number one, and I'll start with Mike. Mike, what do you think about Ronaldo? The rumor that Ronaldo is offering himself to Barcelona, and he has actually spoken to Piqué and told Piqué to speak to Xavi. How do you just play that out in your head? How do you see that happening?
Well, that happens to me every week with you, always morning that you're going to leave the team. You won't come. But anyway.
Apologize for the language, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't apologize, it's fine. I think that it might be true in terms of Ronaldo, giving his mate a call. Whether or not Man United will let him go is a different kettle of fish. I don't think that they will. I think it's just some petulant sort of, he had enough because he had a bad couple of games. And then he's called his friend to see what's happening. But I don't think Man United really can afford to let him go right now. It makes him look weak and stuff. And to be fair, they need his goals at the moment, to be honest, at least to the end of the season. So, but then having said that, they've got Cavani. So, never say never. But given the fact he's a marquee signing, it kind of makes him look a bit, sour.
What do you think? What do you think, Mr. Thanos? What do you think about Ronaldo actually calling up Piqué and then offering himself to Barcelona? First of all, do you see that happening, or do you actually see him fit in Barcelona in any way, shape, or form?
No, I don't see it happening. I see he's at Man United at least. It wouldn't happen before the end of the season if he was to move, and I don't see him going to Barcelona.
Why?
Because they're in a bad position at the moment, so they're not going to be winning any trophies anytime too soon for the next couple of seasons, and he hasn't got that long left in the game, I think. So I don't think Barcelona will use their money as well to bring him in. I think they'd rather invest in youth. They have to go down that road. They can't have that marquee signing paying big lots of wages. Just can't afford to do it.
Okay, but do you actually see Neil? Do you actually see him actually playing for Barcelona, being a former Real Madrid player? And would you, at this moment in time, considering how wonderful Man United and Barcelona are or are not, would you actually leave? Man United in this present situation to go to Barcelona?
He's began to not that they're not a nothing club, but they're not going to win anything major this season, right? They're in a transformation period. And
who's that, Man U or Barca?
Well, both really, but definitely Barca at the moment, right? They're in a transformation period where I want to say they got out of jail with Aguero retiring. That was probably a bit of a blessing. At the age, bringing some new players and the amount of money that they had. Messi's gone. I can't see Ronaldo going there for any reason. Do I think that Ronaldo would leave United at the end of the season? Yeah, 100%. Like, they're not doing what he wants to do, and they're not going where he wants to necessarily go. Is he still a top striker? Absolutely. He'd get in most teams in the Premier League easily. Whether he play every week is another story, and I think that's kind of where he's got to realise either he goes to Italy to go and play where the football's a little bit slower, or he takes a substitute appearance at at United and coming off for the last 30 minutes or playing in the big games, but not every week, right? He's at that peak now where he's either he has someone running alongside him or he just becomes a substitute. In the nicest possible way, he's done wonders for the game. And no disrespect, but he's got to that age now where he's not a regular starter for such a big club.
I mean,
in the fast league.
What about going PSG to join Messi?
Yeah, it's a nothing league, right? There's like 3 teams, yeah, like playing in Scotland, right?
One second, please, ladies and gentlemen, for any French guys that we may have out there, it is not a nothing league. We just have a very strange.
It's Uber delivery League 1, isn't it, or something like that, or Uber cabs League 1, right? So let's be honest, right? Just 2 teams it should be called. Other than like last season, like. But it isn't competitive. The good thing with the Prem is there are like maybe 4 or 5 massive clubs now. Sorry, Arsenal and Spurs, but you're not anywhere near the top. But now there's no longer the big clubs. But you've got 20 teams that potentially could beat each other on any given day. You don't really get that anywhere else in Europe, and that's usually where the players want to play. So he's won everything. He has the divine right to pick where he goes, and he quite rightly should do. Whether he should start every week is another story. But yeah.
First of all, the divine right.
But he's not going to Barcelona.
Okay, fine. But first of all, divine right as a player to pick where he was, that doesn't happen here. It's a business at the end of the day. But I'll go back.
No, he picked to go to United. He went to United. He said to Juve, I'm leaving. And he could pick. Who would say no to him?
I was going to question. So you said he would go to Italy. I mean, he has already played for Juve, which happens to be the biggest, or arguably the biggest team in Italy. He's not going to go to Inter Milan or anybody else. So, I mean, him going back to Italy, I don't really see that happening. Him going to Barcelona, I also don't see that happening. I think he'll finish out his 2 years in Man United and probably do a year in MLS. That's my guess. But
if he leaves Man United to go PSG.
Yeah, why would you go MLS over PSG? That makes no sense.
No, because if he finishes, it doesn't make any sense to you, Mike. But if he finishes 2 years in Man United, at the end of it, he'll be 37. I really doubt anybody in Europe will take a gamble on him at that point, regardless how fit he is. And the MLS,
you will.
And the MLS, I really doubt that. And the MLS man, Ronaldo, he could possibly play a year, 6 months of football. He could probably just play there and endorsements and all that. So he could have
the money.
Well.
Ooh, isn't Ronaldo already 37? Pretty much next month.
He's not 37. He's not next month.
So in 2 years' time, he's pretty much like 40 as far as the football concerned.
So
that's old.
So you're calculating his football in 2 years, not now.
Well, you said 2 years' time at United. I can't see him staying for another season, right?
No,
I think at the end of the season,
I said he will finish his 2 years at United. So 1 year is almost gone. I didn't say he will stay two extra years. Two different.
I think if he leaves United, they go to PSG.
Simple.
PSG would want that, especially if they sell Mbappe, to have Messi and Ronaldo in the same team, even though they're both past their peaks. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we shall see. I think it's an interesting rumor, though, and I think
it's a marketing dream.
I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. Even if I think he's not going to go anywhere, maybe as Neil said, possibly leave end of the season.
Yeah, he'd rather go Chicago Fire. Yeah, definitely. Rather than
yes, Chicago Fire than anywhere else. You never know.
Yeah.
Well, unless he gets the same type of deal as Beckham got, right? Where he got the rights to buy a club, and that was one of the things to go over there for. So unless that, he does seem very sound-minded and into his business. So, he's built himself a brand. But I think he's earned whatever he wants to do at his age and for what he's done for football.
He probably called it the team CR7 after himself.
That would be awesome, though, wouldn't it?
That'd be bad.
Yeah.
Well, we shall see. Well, let's see what happens to Ronaldo in the next couple of weeks. The window is open. We never know. I mean, the pandemic is there as well. So, COVID still being as wonderful as present as it is. So you never know what happens to players. But I mean, sticking to Man United and talking about potential players going out and potential players coming in. So first of all, Pogba has the right to speak to any club at the moment. 6 months left in his contract. Jesse Lingard is the same thing. Anthony Martial has said he's very open to move. Seville seem to be tapping him up. Mr. Thanos, Pogba, Lingard, what's your story? What do you see? And is now the right time for Martial to leave? Is he seeking to play for France for the World Cup if he goes to Seville, as the rumors all say?
I'll be very surprised if Man United get rid of Pogba now. I can see them allowing him to sign a pre-contract with someone to go in the summer. Martial's the one I can see going out the door in January. Jesse Lingard
Yeah,
again.
in January.
Well, this month then. The other one is Jesse Lingard is at the door, I reckon, this January. But I can't see them doing any wholesale changes given that their guy, Ragnick.
Where do you see Lingard going?
Another Premiership club. Probably like a West Ham, Everton. I doubt he'll go Newcastle. I think he knows he's better than that, and he wouldn't want to get involved in that relegation scrap.
Okay, Neil, you seem to be going, no. What does that mean? What are you disagreeing with? Is he not being better than Newcastle or what?
Yeah, I'm all those Newcastle fans listening right now going, oh, Lingard's better than Newcastle. That was all I was like, oh, I wasn't disagreeing or agreeing. I was just like, that's cutting, isn't it? I mean, who wants to hear about that football team? You know, Jesse Lingard's too good for your club. Everyone would be annoyed at that, right? There's not one person that's not annoyed at that. I'd be annoyed at Wednesday if someone said, yeah, all right, you're back down from it. I would as well. Jesse's listed as this going, yeah, of course I am. Yeah, no, I think that he won't go to Newcastle. I think West Ham would be his preferred choice. Why not? He did well under Moyes. He got back in the shop window with Moyes. So if he's going anywhere, he's going. I've actually got Pogba as one of my picks to leave United, either in January at a cut price rather than negotiating to the end of the season, depending on. I mean, we've already had the conversation about Ragnick anyway and what he's coming and what he's doing. So that's taken out of his. I'm assuming this is all taken out of his hands. Who he wants to sign, who he doesn't want to sign, and they're talking to whoever they want to keep and whatever about what's coming in. But Pogba would either been signed and sealed by now, or they're looking to offload. Maybe it'll be obviously be a cut price, but I don't think he's part of potentially the future there now.
Well, we should see. Mike, what do you think? Neil mentioned the fact that Pogba might have possibly already have a club in hand come the end of the season. Jesse Lingard could possibly go on loan. Martial, is it time for him to leave? So how do you think about those three players?
It was time for Martial to leave about 2 years ago, to be honest. I don't know what he's doing there. Sometimes I forget he plays for them. Like, what's going on there? Lingard probably should have done one as well, but he thought he could, break into the team. But he hasn't, unfortunately, for whatever reason. So, I mean, yeah, everyone's going to say the obvious destination is West Ham, assuming that West Ham still want him. To be fair, there is that to consider. But I think the two for sure in January, they have to get rid of Pogba, really, if they want to make any money off him. And Martial just a waste of space on their books, to be honest, because he's not playing at all. So those two have to really go in this window really if they want to do anything, because they need money in to finance some other deals that they want. I heard that they're looking at, what's his name, De Jong. I don't know if that's true or not. Frankie De Jong, sorry. So they're going to need money for that. So we'll see.
Unlucky for you, JJ. Maguire's still going to be there.
See, personally, I would transfer. I don't. Mike, would we take Maguire for new stationers?
No, he's a liability, man. Red card every week.
Yeah, sure.
Even though there's no offsides. There's no offsides.
The other one who I actually might think go out the door, at least probably on loan, will be Henderson, the goalkeeper.
The good goalkeeper.
Okay, why do you think that?
He needs to play. I don't think he's going to get back in ahead of De Gea. And it's about keeping. I can see them doing a loan deal for him, and then reviewing the position in the summer when the new manager comes in. He can't sit down there for 6 months.
Okay, just so final thought on Man United. What position and what position do Man United need to fill, and what players would you recommend if you were like the scout? Just tell me the position and the players that you would recommend for Man United. I'll start with you, Neil.
Well, Man U have almost done a deal for a young forward, but I'm not really sure forwards are where they're at. I think Pogba and Fred are two liabilities there at the moment. I see them either getting Declan Rice in, somebody that they'll want and put some big money in, and maybe Neves at Wolves as well. Two players that could come in and make a bit of an impact at the other club. They both work hard, right? Which I think is the one thing that they're missing for 90 minutes and Fred, quality as well.
No, but Fred works hard.
He's not good though, is he?
No, it's terrible. Yeah. He works hard though.
Okay, I mean, Mike, who do you say positions and players to come in?
You guys need centre back, but you're not going to get rid of old potato head over there, so that's a bit of a problem. I'm not 100% sure about your fullbacks. The two first starters, Shaw and Wan-Bissaka, at least one of those needs to be changed, but you do have backup, but then I'm not 100% sure about them either. But it's in the engine room that you always need something. So whether that's getting in Declan Rice or Frankie de Jong, something to boss that midfield, that's not Fred and not McTominay. That's
all right. So it's all good. Steve, what do you think? What do you think? Man United potential position.
They need a centre back and need to knuckle down on what is going to be their centre back pairing. Problem is, I don't see what they need. They're going to be able to do it in January. I think a lot of that big signing centre back needs to come in the summer. I don't see that move happening in January. In the middle, then I can't see them getting Declan Rice. I think West Ham will be able to hold on to him.
Okay. You don't see Man United getting Declan Rice in January? Or you don't
Not in January. Not in January. And another option might be Calvin Phillips at Leeds, but then he's he's injured at the moment, and he's had a few injuries this season. But he's definitely a good player that could do a job for them. I think they just need to clear the decks.
All right.
All the old Sharans, Pogba, Martial, decide on a replacement for Fred McTominay. What's Greenwood doing? What's Rashford doing? Cavani. There's too many question marks over what is supposed to be their first team players.
Yeah, I second that. I had a good think earlier about United, and they've got players that are almost of the old Arsenal ilk of never quite making their, actual potential, right? They're just sitting back, which is the problem. Rashford's faltered, hasn't he?
Well, he has his very off on, but well, we shall see. Thank you very, very, very much, guys, for the wonderful insight on Man United. But I like the fact that you mentioned Arsenal, so we'll go straight to the Gunners from here. So now, in terms of transfers and things, first of all, Arsenal have a couple of players going into the Nations Cup, so this might expose or actually make some of the younger players play better. But the first rumor with the Arsenal is that Ainsley Maitland-Niles is about to sign for Roma. Would you say they've given him enough chances to establish himself, Mike, in the Arsenal team?
Not in his preferred midfield. He's had a couple of games. He's done all right and he's played, to be fair, but he's not had as many chances as, say, for example, El Nene. But El Nene is a very specific type of player, so you know what you get out of him and you know what you want, sideways and backwards passes and tenacity, basically. So no, he hasn't. But I mean, they see him in training, and I guess they don't think that he's. Well, is it a transfer? Or is it a loan? I heard it was a loan.
Yeah, so, I think it's a loan initially, but
if it's a loan, then you're half in, half out, aren't you? So if you perform, maybe you come back, or maybe we sell you because you're worth more money now. So it's like a 50-50.
Well, what do you think? What do you think, Mr. Thanos? Do you think he has been given enough chances, or
he hasn't been given enough chances? But the problem he's got is that he replaces Partey in terms of style of play. In the Arsenal midfield, he doesn't do the same job as Xhaka or Neni or Lokonga. He's more how Partey plays, passing, energy back and forth, going forward. So Arsenal's, even though Partey's had been playing poor up until the last couple of games, especially yesterday, he was really good. I can't see Arsenal dropping him once he's fit. So I think that's Maitland-Niles' problem, is that who's in front of him.
Yeah, but okay. So Neil, when you look at this, I mean, I look at Maitland-Niles as one of them players that is utility. I look at him like a James Milner. Anywhere you put him, he can play. He can do a good job. But if he has not been given the chances and they're pretty much ready to let go of him, what is the problem? Is it the managerial system? Is it the player? And if he goes to Roma, he becomes wonderful. So what is the issue here?
I think sending him to Italy is probably the best situation that Arsenal were hopeful from him. He's not going to play against them unless it's the Europa League. Little dig there. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, I think his problem is he doesn't just have a position, right? He's played in too many positions. He's played right wing back. He's played in the center of the park. He's pushed forward, played full back. He'll play wherever he wants, and that's one of his best traits, that he will go in wherever. But sometimes that's not what you want. You want a player that has a position, owns the position, and carries that. I think Arsenal think that they can get better players than him. I would agree that they could get better players, which is why I think that they're looking to try and get rid of him now, when potentially they can get some money. If he goes to Roma, that'll be good for him, and it would be good for Arsenal as well. So I see that as a good bit of business for everyone in that.
Well, we shall see. In terms of improving the Arsenal team, though, and with all the players going for Nations Cup and the players there, Mike, who will you get rid of and who will you bring in? Position-wise, players to go, who needs to be cut?
Well, person number one, you know it is, isn't it? It's flipping smiley teeth. Oba, he's got to go, isn't he? Yeah, come on, let's have it right. So I read somewhere that Newcastle are looking at him. I would second that. I'll take him, and I'll stay there and clean his boots as well for the first 1 month, so as a freebie, so he can stay. So he's got to get out. Otherwise, we won't get nothing for him.
Who replaces him, though? Because I don't think you have that much confidence in Nketiah and all them other players.
No, it won't be those. It'll be somebody fresh. So they're saying, well, they keep mentioning DCL, but he's injured with an ACL, so that's out of it. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but I don't think
he played today, though. He played today.
He's back now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, man, I don't think Everton are going to send him anyway, because they're in a bit of bother as it is. At least not in the January window. So they've mentioned Vlahovic. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, but forget the mentions and the rumors at the moment.
I would go for him or Patrick Schick, how do you pronounce it?
So you would get rid of Aubameyang and get a striker to come in and replace him. Any other positions? Any other players that you?
I would get somebody in the midfield as well, if we can. So the two names that's on tip of my tongue would be like Bruno Gomes, Leon, or Awa, how do you pronounce it? But those are the two things. I wouldn't mind a backup right back, to be honest, but that's not urgent for January. If you look at January, I think a striker and some midfield still or backup on the two I would go for.
Okay. Mr. Thanos, your beloved Arsenal. Who would you get rid of? Who would you keep? Who do you think should come in and improve your team?
The improvements Arsenal need, they're not going to get in January, because they need good quality players that's really going to improve their team. They need to make decisions about what's going on with Nketiah and Lacazette before they decide on Aubameyang. Yeah, there's a bit of an issue with discipline, but if you get rid of him now and you don't have someone else coming in, that is some goals that you're taking at the side. Arsenal's at a very fine point in my view. You don't want to tinker with it too much in January, because you're building. We seem to have built the base of something really good team spirit and stuff, and you don't want to bring in another big money signing that's going to upset the boat. Get to the end of the season, then review it and bring in the big replacements. If Lacazette's going on a free, then spend your money and get your big striker.
But don't you think we need something to get us top four?
Say that again.
Don't you think we need something to get us to top four? I don't think we're just going to get top four, just those guys, given the form of in front of goal, Laka, Eddie, and Abba scoring probably very, very few goals. We're not going to get over the line just with those guys, but we're going to need some reinforcement, surely, to get to top four.
What are you going to reinforce? What are you going to reinforce with? Yes, I mean, we have to be very careful, because you bring in a top striker. What's going on with Lacazette? What's going on with Nketiah?
Who cares? Because there's no point planning for the summer or only someone we're going to buy X person and Y person if we don't get top four in the first place to attract those top guys.
Very few big transfers happen in
we got
January.
Obra, so I'm sure we got Obra in Jan.
Yeah, but out of how many transfers?
Well, very few, but that's one of his names for the team we're talking about. So
the quality that Arsenal need to bring them up a level. Yeah, I don't think they get in January.
But we got
especially in a World Cup. Yeah, I don't think they do.
All right. Before, while you guys are pondering and thinking about that, Neil, and of course you have to be very careful what you say here. You know, your missus might just send a punch or a slap. So, what do you think is best for Arsenal at this point? January window. Let's not look too far. Who they should get rid of? Who they should bring in?
Yeah, I think both of you guys have raised some good points about Arsenal. On this, they do need to be careful about who they bring in and the right type of player. I think Arteta's probably been a little bit careful with who he brings in to make sure he's not upsetting the apple cart and getting a player in that will play for the team. I think that's probably first and foremost. So there is a danger if they end up panic buying and getting a big name. The big name that I think potentially they might look at is someone like Icardi from PSG. He's not getting enough game time. Could be a good signing depending on how they play. But big players are always one of those things, right? They either go really, really well or they go really, really badly. He's not one that can take 2 years to get running. He's 28 already. Frank Kessie from AC Milan, deep playmaker, holds back a bit further, which I think could complement ESR or Odegaard, which would be decent. I also think they need a centre-back. Temperament problems, so maybe someone like Axel Dessy from Monaco. He's young, but I don't know if they're going to get William Saliba. Is it Saliba back? He's out on 9 at the moment, so I don't think he's got a future.
So in terms of as Mr. Thanos pointed that when it comes to January windows, it's very hit and miss. You might, when you look at the history of January transfer windows, some wonderful deals have been done, Mr. Thanos, and I know you're thinking, maybe you have to be careful and all that stuff. But with Arsenal, especially looking at the game Arsenal versus Man City, you can see that structure, especially in the first half. You can see that, look, if we have the players, we can actually make this work. So the January is it's risky, but it can be done. The thing is, positionally, what do you need? Let's not go maybe. What do you need in January exactly to get you to the best possible position at the end of the season?
Striker midfielder and a centre back.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Striker midfielder and a centre back. They need
striker,
at least
midfield and a centre back. Okay.
Yeah,
but the striker will start probably. Yeah. The striker will start. The midfielder should probably start. The centre back might be cover, fair enough, but 2 of those 3 are essential because there's no point thinking about the summer. You need to grab that top 4 now, and whatever it takes. The risk is worth it because if it pays off and you get top 4, great. If it doesn't pay off and you don't get top 4, then you're in no different position than if you've done nothing really. To be honest, you have to go for top 4 this season.
And I think not being in Europe is the easiest thing for Arsenal this season, and I mean that in the nicest way. Like if they get somebody, they're not cup tied, right? For European football, they haven't got to worry about that side of things. I think a clear out wise, they need to get rid of Aubameyang, El Neni, and Ketia. And the good bit of news I saw in the press today was Pepe's been linked with Juve.
Yes.
So if you start a GoFundMe page, you might be able to get his flight sorted to help him with that. But I was
Pepe ain't going nowhere, Jack. Pepe ain't going nowhere.
He'll be immense in
Pepe ain't going nowhere on the basis that we're not going to take the hit on the funds.
Well, we shall see what happens. Mike will help him pack his bags. Mr. Thanos will be the one to go, if you're going, son, I give you my blessing. And Neil will just go, man, you're crap anyways. So whether you go or not, it's all good.
Here's a question before we move on to the next club. Aubameyang, if Man City or Chelsea coming through, would you sell him, Mike?
Yeah. What's that got to do with us? We're not going to win the league this season. So
it's just a question. No need to be.
Ask them to anybody. Ask them to Man United. I don't give a damn. Ask them to anybody.
It's a question.
Actually, technically, we should send to a top 4 rival, technically speaking. But anybody who's about in the top 3, they can take him. No problem.
Do you think he's another Adebayor? Has a good season and that disappears. Could go to another top 4 club, score 30 goals, and then go elsewhere. And
we'll have to wait and see if he kicks one of our players in the face and then runs the length of the pitch first before he confirms he's at Adebayor.
To be honest, the whole Aubameyang thing is that we don't know the reasons as to why he's got issues with the club all of a sudden.
He's lost it.
Isn't that he's lost it? But he didn't perform last season in terms of as a striker. So it seems like something recently's happened, and now he's being disciplined, and he's not played for 4 games, not in the squad for 4 games and stuff. So I don't think he's lost it. I think he might go to another club and he might bag in a lot of goals, to be honest. But I just think that there's something going on behind.
I don't think he suits the way we play anymore, whatever that is. I think he suits the way. I think we bended the way we play to be pragmatic initially when Arteta was finding his feet. Now Arteta's found his feet in the way he wants to play. A year has gone by and he just doesn't fit that whatever it is Arteta wants, and that's why he's not getting the best out of it. And I think he's lost it a little bit as well.
Well, we shall see what happens to Aubameyang in the transfer window. We shall see if Mike gets his wish. or if Obama just gets a new Ferrari with different wonderful colors. You never know. Let's see what happens. Moving on, though, in terms of moving on to Chelsea. Lukaku has been in the news in the last, couple of weeks, talking about his heart is Inter, he would die for Matero and yada yada yada. Looking at Chelsea's squad, do they need anything? Do they need anybody for any improvements? Neil, you're shaking your head. You tell me, what does Chelsea need?
That's a nod, by the way.
Yeah, that's why I say you're not. Yeah. What does Chelsea need?
Chelsea needs a new centre back and a midfielder and a replacement for Lukaku, who's ultimately not wanting to be there.
So first of all, you said Chelsea needs a centre back. They have Chalobah, They have Rudiger, they have Thiago Silva, they have Christensen on the bench.
Yeah, they're playing with three at the back. So if they're playing with three at the back, Thiago Silva's my age, give or take.
He's younger.
He's younger.
I was saying give or take, right? But he is on his not his last legs, but he's on his finer twilight years, right? So I think that they need a decent centre back to come in as a replacement. Rudiger, what if Rudiger doesn't keep his contract? So they're going to need someone to back him up.
No. But first of all, are you saying they need a centre back to just come in and hang around, or in case somebody gets injured, Rudiger might sign? You never know. The rumor is he's asking for £450,000 a week. That's the rumor. I don't know why, but what do you need a centre back for? If he signs, why do you need a centre back? Because,
like I said, Thiago Silva's getting on a bit, and his best years are behind him, unfortunately. But the guy has so much knowledge that he can pass on, and seems to be a guy that likes to play with the younger guys, to help them out, to pass on knowledge on, and to organise a defence, right? Which I think is really, really important, and I think that helps the club.
Hold on one second. So, Mike first, Mr. Thanos. You look at Chelsea midfield. They have Kante, they have Pulisic, they have Werner, they have Havertz, they have Barkley, they have Kante. They have what's the English boy called? Hudson-Odoi. They have Mason Mount. They have they have loads of players. So why would they need another midfielder? I'll start with Mike. That's what Neil said. Why do they need another?
Well, those guys, apart from a few you mentioned, they're not 100% setting the world on like Mason Mount chips in now and again off Kante. Yeah, but in terms of goals and stuff I'm talking about, yeah. So that then you've got what's his name? Kovacic scored today, but he rarely scores. You've got Jorginho who controls tempo. So and then you've got Werner, Havertz. Those guys haven't really hit the ground running. Hudson-Odoi is still raw, a little bit hit and miss. Lukaku's homesick, or apparently, even though he's Belgian, but that's another story. So there's a lot of issues there. You can see four home games in a row now that they've drawn. There's something missing there. So you can Ziyech as well. He's not really set the word on like that. That's three players I've mentioned. That's over 100 billion.
So are we saying they need players to come in and create some impact that this wonderful array of midfielders you have called cannot?
He needs to be effective. It's not about the names on the shirt. They have to be effective. It's like the days when they had Galacticos. They're fantastic names, but they weren't always winning titles. They weren't always winning Champions League, but the names were stellar. But you need to be effective.
All right.
And they're not always effective.
But you don't want a stagnant squad either. Yeah. So the only way you improve, look at Man City, they buy players. They don't need to, but they buy players to keep that improvement, keep the challenge up. If Chelsea can't sit still and go, oh, we're all right for 3 years because we've got youth or we've got some decent players, that's just pointless.
I was this, Mr. Thanos. So yes, I understand what these guys are saying, that they have a wonderful array, but it's about impact, blah, 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 blah. But obviously the chances have been given to some and not been given to others. So when you look at the registered players, like for midfield, for example, they have Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic, Pulisic, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Saul Niguez, Ross Barkley, Mason Mount, Ziyech, Kai Havertz, Xavier Simons, Harvey Vale, Charlie Webster, Lewis Hall. We don't know who those guys are, but
Brave knows.
The problem with Chelsea is that for me is that the majority of those players are not Tuchel signings.
Gallagher.
The majority of them are not Tuchel signings, and then the other bits, the only ones that seem to be making an impact out of all those names are about four: Kante, Kovacic, Jorginho, Mason Mount.
Loftus-Cheek plays well when he plays.
Yeah, but he does it. But he doesn't. He's not. I can't remember a game where it's been about Loftus-Cheek. that he made the difference or he dominated the game. But the four that I mentioned, they seem to be the difference makers in that Chelsea midfield. If those guys are not playing, Chelsea seem to lack something.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's because they're not to show signings and they're not totally up to his style of play and his belief. Yeah, but there's something missing. They've got a lot of stars, a lot of players, but not all of them are making the impact. Maybe it's the way he's managing them. I don't know. At the back, they need to either make Christensen and Rudiger sign. They're playing with a three at the back of man out all linked to go. He's linked to go as well. So none of their back line, apart from the goalkeeper, will probably be there next season.
Well, I mean, I kind of see, looking at the Chelsea squad, I understand Niels get the centre back because they have Rudiger, who might not sign. You have Alonso, Christensen, Thiago Silva, whose legs are going, still playing really well. Ben Chilwell is injured. Chalobah playing with James. Aspilicueta, you never know. Malung Sa and Xavier Mubiamba. So, you never know. Maybe these guys will need. So, Neil has said his bit. You need a defender. Midfield, I'm still not sure. Strike, you have Lukaku talking about his heart being somewhere. You have Havertz that doesn't seem to want to score, or Werner that doesn't want him to score. So I take it, Mike, Mr. Thanos and Mike, you guys are in agreement. Centre back, midfield, and strike.
Yeah, midfield, not really. I think they got too many. They got enough numbers, even though all of them are not impacting the game. But definitely centre back priority. And
one player, or sort of forward of some sort.
The Lukaku one, I don't understand it because Inter don't have money. So saying that he wants to go back to Inter, we can talk it, but they haven't got money to buy him. So is that just hot air?
But in a way, he's a bit of a waste man because he only wanted to go back to Inter when he kind of thrown his toys at the pram because they're not playing the way he wants to play and whatever system he wants to play. But if they play the system he wanted to play, would he be moaning like that? I don't know.
Wouldn't surprise me if they bid for Aubameyang, mate.
With Chelsea?
Yep.
Swap deal, man. Yeah, let's do it.
No, it wouldn't be a swap deal. Just offer cash.
80 million. Okay, go ahead.
He stays in London. He stays in London. 15, 20 million. They can
afford score. Wages. He'll probably score those goals because Tuchel knows him, innit? Great.
Exactly.
Well, it might be a win-win for Tuchel. You never know, but I really.
It's like Giroud.
I really doubt that will happen, but you never know. Let's see. I mean, that would mean they'll probably. I don't know if he probably wouldn't get 350 a week, but whatever Chelsea will give him, he definitely will get some more Ferraris. Anyway, moving on to Liverpool, and pretty much we've been on Man United. We have spoken about Arsenal, Chelsea, but Liverpool. It seems like Klopp is buying some good players, but either they're getting injured or there's some sort of gel that is missing. I mean, if you look at the Liverpool midfielders, you have Fabinho, Thiago, James Milner, Naby Keita, Henderson, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Curtis Jones, Dixon Banner, Harvey Elliott, Tyler Morton, Conor Bradley, and James Balagzi. So obviously, the last couple of guys I called are from the youth, but they've come in like Tyler Morton looked really good and decent. And do they need more players? Is there too much reliance on Van Dijk? What do they need to make the squad in January? Let's stick with January at the moment. Or do they have a good enough team to at least keep them in the top four and possibly even still go for the title? Neil.
I mean, they don't need to buy anyone to stay in the top four. That's, I want to say, a given that they'll be up there unless something dramatically happens and they've got COVID for 25 players for 6 games. I can't see them slipping that far down. Do they need to improve? Again, like, why would they not want to improve? You've got James Milner, and again, no disrespect to James Milner, but the guy shouldn't be playing as many games as he's playing. He should be on the peripheries and be a sub. He shouldn't be starting games. They should have better quality players coming through. And obviously they're not trusted enough as James Milner is because he's steady, he's reliable, and he puts in a shift. So that's one of the problems that Klopp has. I believe they'll probably buy a midfielder, one of Klopp's amazing signings for probably 25 million that he's barely heard of in the Premier League, and he'll come out to the top. Yeah, but he's been injured a lot, hasn't he?
Yep.
But also, he
And,
can't run the midfield by himself. That's
and
the problem.
Nebi Keita.
Yeah, he'll be off to African Cup of Nations, I assume, though.
Yeah, he will do.
So that means they've got Jordan Henderson that gets injured, and he's getting a little bit on, and you've got James Milner. That's not the type of midfielder you want running in and out. I think they still need a centre back to help out Van Dijk at the moment, who looks like he's struggling. I think they'll probably buy Stefan Posch from Hoffenheim, and I think they'll get another striker as well, because I still don't think they trust Origi quite enough to start him in and out. And I think they've been linked with Dybala, which if they get Dybala, they'll be well chuffed with that, because that's a great signing. But
That'd be nice.
that means Jota will be pushed further down the ranks, I assume.
Well, it could be. I doubt.
You don't drop Mane.
I doubt they'll buy Dybala to start week in, week out. But anyway, let's assume they get Dybala. Mr. Thanos, what do you think? How you seeing Liverpool at the moment? Obviously, they can always improve. But if they do get Dybala, are we saying goodbye to Firmino?
Yes, I think he would. But I think Liverpool's problem at the moment is that Klopp, for a few seasons, had his Mr. Reliables. People like Ronaldo, who would turn up game after game after game in that midfield and work it out. What he's having to rely on, as Neil said earlier, is people like James Milner, Jordan Henderson. These guys are carrying injuries. They do need a centre back to come and help Van Dijk. They also need a better backup goalkeeper to Alisson. Definitely. Getting Dybala, does he solve their issues? I don't know. I think Liverpool need more squad depth than actual first teamers. If Liverpool have their first team available, they're going to run a lot of teams ragged. If they don't have their first team available, it's about who comes in and can they do a job for a few games, which is what's happened with Thiago. Thiago being missing, they can't fill that void.
Mike, I know you have wonderful love for the wonderful red side of Liverpool. What do you think? I mean, Mr. Thanos thinks some defenders will be in good. Neil has said some things to do to improve the team. Defense-wise, of course, they have Van Dijk. They have what's his name?
Gomez, is he injured?
Yeah, he's back on. He came on the last time. I think he's just on the bench. I mean, they have Van Dijk, Kanote, which is their first team pairing, and they have Gomez. They have Matip. They have Phillips, Owen Beck, Neco Williams. You know, wonderful players that you know a lot about. But what do you think that you need?
I think they could do with a centre back, but given the people we've mentioned, if they've got Gomez and Matip, then it's not urgent. Considering we're talking about January. But what does need surgery, irrespective of whether there's African Nations Cup or not, is the midfield, to be fair. And because of the African Nations, they do need a forward of some sort, whether that's a loan or what have you, because you're losing Mane and you're losing Salah. Well, just losing Salah alone is probably enough to kill any team, but losing Mane as well, it's nightmare. So I would say that they need the forward areas. I mean, they've got a few kids coming through, but I don't think that's going to be enough, because in the midfield, they always seem like they rely on Fabinho a lot. And like you say, Milner, he should be an elder statesman by now, but he's not. He's starting at centre back, starting at right back, he's starting at centre mid. He shouldn't be doing that. That just shows that you haven't got strength and depth in your squad, to be fair. So yeah, I think they will address the midfield area. Now, what happened to Minamino, by the way? Is he still around?
He's there. He's in the squad.
No, he must
The one thing for Liverpool, which one player that I thought would have come on leaps and bounds, was Oxlade-Chamberlain. I thought he would have.
Well, what is he though?
I thought he would have gone into centre midfield and really laid the mark.
But what is he though? But what type of centre midfielder is he? Is he a playmaker?
He's one of the box to box. Pick up the ball and drive with him.
Every time Klopp plays him in the midfield, though, he usually brings him on when he wants, apart from the wingers going for that drive, he usually brings Oxlade to go through the middle and take the same drive in the middle.
So who does he replace in their standard midfield? Nobody. He doesn't.
That's the thing, because of the way he plays and he drives through. Depending on the game, he could replace any of the midfielders, because at that point they're just thinking of take the ball. Take the ball, run at anybody, blah blah blah. Which obviously we know that Liverpool like to go through their wing.
So he's an option, basically.
It's pretty much. I mean, it's always been an option, but you would think that at a certain point, I mean, he had a good spell where he was really playing and doing all that, but that doesn't seem to be.
He's not there. He's not in the mode of what they would start with. So he's a very tactical player. So if they want to do a certain thing, they'll bring him on. But 9 times out of 10, he's not going to start for them.
Well, We shall see. I mean, he is a league winner and he contributed to the time that they won the league. So I'm sure he has no regrets about leaving a certain club in London. But
Nobody said he did.
hey,
Why you trying to go?
but I sorry.
Move on, man.
I know you miss Karim, I know. But
He left because they weren't going to pay for the middle.
we
Hey.
never. Well, let us move on to another wonderful club that will possibly be the richest club in the championship if things don't go well, and with people being linked to them left, right, and center. Let's go to Newcastle. So one of the rumors happening at the moment is that Newcastle is talking to Kieran Trippier. Mr. Thanos, Kieran Trippier, does he improve the Newcastle squad?
Not enough. It's not enough.
Yeah, but that's a start. But does he improve the Newcastle squad?
It's a good start. He does improve Newcastle. He's got experience. He's a decent player. He can play right back, left back. So he should improve their defense, but they need more.
Yeah, they do need more. But
it's a good starting point. It's a statement. It'll be a statement signing as well.
Yeah, I like the fact that you say statement. Neil, will Kieran Trippier be that guy that, okay, Newcastle, if they manage to get him, maybe other guys will come. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know how many friends he's got, but to me, it's a really odd one. I mean, not that he's not a good player, because he is, but maybe he's like the typical Newcastle signing I'd have expected like 10, 20 years. I know he wasn't playing them, but the type of player I'd expected them to sign them when the football was good. Now he's leaving a decent team in Spain to go to Newcastle. So obviously he must be falling down the pecking order there, or they've got no long-term plans for him, which is why he's going to go. Great signing for Newcastle.
And it means he would have turned down Man United as well.
And he's going to be getting a fortune, all right?
Yeah.
Which I think is the important thing. Will he will give intent to decent players that want to go somewhere, because he is a decent right back. He will do no ends for them. But buying fullbacks, as much as they're really integral parts of the team, kind of maybe the last position that they need to be looking at fulfilling. They've got a lot of other player areas that they need to look at before they start getting in some fullbacks that can cross the ball. Like someone in the box would be helpful.
But having said that, though, they kind of need to sort out their defense. They've got the same defense that they probably had when they came up in the championship. They need to replace at least that whole back line.
Yeah, the centre backs would have been the first two that I would be replacing, and then midfield, and the striker that actually can stay fit for more than a game.
When we're sticking to the January window, replacing the two centre backs will be difficult. I mean, when you think about the long term,
they've got money, man.
They have to go with loan players.
You can go
they need to balance the books, though, regardless of the money they have.
Who, James?
James, what's his face? James Tarkowski. They can go in. They can go Rob Holding. I was hoping I'd just throw it out there, just in case, you know.
just in case Newcastle are listening, right?
Amanda, what's the face is listening, just in case. Connor Cody, I've heard them talking about. I'm not sure why he'll leave Wolves to go to money, basically.
So you can't look at the Newcastle transfer rumours seriously at the moment, because literally every player that may have a slight sniff of an end of a contract or be looking for more money has been linked with them.
And Ketia, you can have all of them. Fire sale.
I think they'll sign a couple of decent defenders or half decent. I think they'll probably try and get Lerma from Bournemouth. I'm hoping Dele Alli goes there just because he's heard it, and Newcastle went on that. But I think they should look at Mitrovic up front and look
Fulham.
At
but
Fulham.
He's done it, but he never does when he comes to the Prem.
Yeah, because he was at Fulham, right?
The first time he came, he did it. He scored over 10 goals. Second time, he wasn't even, Scott Parker wasn't playing him that much. But then when you look at the Newcastle squad, so just so that you bear in mind, so Alan Maximin, he's actually looked at as a striker. He's not put in in their squad as a midfielder. He's actually tagged a striker. So when you look at the Newcastle midfield, we have Matthew Longstaff, John Joe Shelby, Matthew Ritchie, Isaac Hayden, Jeff Hendrick, Ryan Fraser, Jacob Murphy, Miguel Amaron, Joseph Willock, Elliot Anderson, Sean Longstaff, Joe White. And these days, you have Joe Linton that's dropping into the midfield. So is that a midfield good enough to keep them up? I mean, even with the last wonderful game they had against Man United.
No, but Joe Linton did play amazingly well in that game. If he now plays in midfield and plays like that for the rest of the season, that's a masterstroke by Eddie Howe, regardless of anything else. That'll be he's just kept his transfer value up because he was terrible up front. They do need to improve in a lot of areas, mainly
every area.
Goal threats. Going forward, at least getting goals against the lower end teams is going to be dividends to that club. But yeah, the loan window's their friend, at least on the basis of staying up, right?
Well, we shall see. We shall see what they do. Ultimately, just staying on Newcastle, I'll ask one more question. Regardless of what they do, Mike, staying up, going down?
It depends on the transfer window, you know.
Okay.
Splinters.
Mr. Thanos?
I'm standing, actually.
I think they go down.
Okay. And Neil?
They're staying up, man. They've got every faith in Newcastle.
All right.
Tsunami. Black and white on.
All right. We shall see. We shall see. So now, another team I want to talk about is Leicester. So they seem to always, last couple of seasons, were doing really well. They faded out towards the end. This season, they have been very inconsistent, up and down. So I actually look at Leicester as a big, wonderful potential shopping mall. You can go in there and just get some good players. However, in January, looking at the players, they have probably Amate, will probably go for Nations Cup. Iheanacho will go for Nations Cup. Ademola Lookman wasn't called by the Super Eagles, so he'll stay. So they have a very wonderful, decent team.
Ndidi.
Papa Mendy.
Ndidi, definitely. Mendy is definitely going. So when you look at these players and you look at the Leicester team, which looks wonderful, what player would you say? I mean, I've been singing it for years. What player?
Don't say Harvey Barnes again. We are.
No, not Harvey Barnes. Not Harvey Barnes.
Okay,
What player would you say definitely has reached his peak at Leicester and needs to go somewhere else?
Two players for me. Kasper Schmeichel and Tielemans.
Okay.
James Madison.
1 second, Mike. Before we get to James Madison, where would you want Schmeichel to go, Steve? What team will he walk in and be the #1 goalkeeper right now?
Man United.
Huh?
To chart. No. I'm not. He should be pushing himself at those three clubs: Liverpool, Man City, Man United. He should be at the top of the league.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not.
I think.
Wait.
Hold on, you're the host. You can't be interrupted.
No.
I'm just asking. I'm about to ask a question.
You've not had an opinion since we started the show, so don't start now.
You're missing my point. I'm not saying he replaces what's there, but he should be aiming at those three clubs. He seems to be content at Leicester, which is a mid-table club. Yeah, mid-table, top 6 club. Yeah, but Kasper Schmeichel is a top goalkeeper in the league season after season.
Yeah,
Premier League winning goalkeeper as well.
And he's at a top 6 club though, so that's not too bad. There's only a few clubs who could go higher than Leicester.
Yeah, and that's what he should be aiming for. You said has he the question was, has he reached his peak at Leicester? My answer was yes. He should be at one of the top 3 clubs.
At Man United, I agree.
Okay, no, the question I asked you, so I said what are the 2 players? You called Schmeichel and who did you call?
Tielemans.
And Tielemans, okay.
Yeah.
And my next question is, what team, 100%, he should...
What did he then?
Okay, Mike, can I, 1 second.
Oh, one at a time.
Sorry, guys.
JJ, I'll host it. Yeah, everyone.
Yeah, just
Sorry,
1
guys.
second. Yeah, so the question is, you said Schmeichel should be competing with the likes in this team, but then the question is simple. If he leaves, obviously he's not going to leave the #1 spot to go and be #2 anywhere. He's not going to go and say, you know what, I think I have a chance in this team. So, and you mentioned Man United, Liverpool, and City. He's not going to walk into those teams.
Yeah, he's kind of fucked. The only choice he's got as an outside is probably Man United if they wanted to get De Gea and it wasn't going to go Henderson. But because I don't see Man City replacing Ederson, Liverpool are not replacing Alisson, and Mendy's not leaving Chelsea.
Okay.
So the only one who's possibly can go for is Man United.
Why not Spurs?
Spurs are not that club.
What club? What kind of club?
They're not in the same league as the ones I've mentioned.
Yeah, but in the same league as Leicester.
I don't think it's a huge.
But with more potential.
I don't think it's a step up. I don't think it's a step up for him.
Not this season, but in future seasons.
Even Leicester he goes sideways. He's not going up.
Well, Mike, you mentioned James Madison. You think he's one that needs to leave Leicester?
No, not necessarily. But he's probably done all he can do at Leicester, and maybe this is the best you'll ever see of him, to be honest. But I can't see him doing much more at Leicester. So either you go somewhere else to see if he's better, if he can raise his game, or we just accept that this is the finished article for him.
And Neil, what do you think about Schmeichel, Tielemans, James Maddison? What do you think? Which player do you think, it's time to actually...
Schmeichel's left it well too late. He may get a Juve at like 37, but I think he's 35 now. And that's not really looking at any of the top.
He's 35?
Yeah, he's 35, man. Yeah.
Young Jeans way.
Me or him? Yeah, he's 35.
Him, definitely.
Tielemans, I was 100% behind you until the other games that he's just had recently, and showed that maybe that's why he hasn't gone anywhere else, because he's a little bit inconsistent. He's a good quality player.
One game doesn't make you inconsistent, though.
Yes, it does. One main game makes you inconsistent.
If you have played
2 games makes you poor. 3 you drop.
So if you have played 10 games and you have played 10 wonderful and you play one bad game,
yeah. What's inconsistent? 11 good games doesn't make you inconsistent.
Lord have mercy.
But he had a nightmare of a game. It wasn't even a bad game. It was an absolute drop ball. You're not playing next week game. That was how bad that game was. And we're talking of Tielemans, a good quality football player. Like he's not bang average. He is like, top end of midfielders in the Premier League without a shadow of a doubt. James Maddison has disappeared off the world as well. Vardy is never going to go anywhere because he's too old now. He's lost his big move, unfortunately. But I think players that will potentially move on and go to better things if they can get their form back would be Tielemans and maybe, is it Söyüncü, the centre back, the Turkish one, and he's only 25 as well. But when you look at the Leicester team, man, there's only like 3 players over the age of 30 in there. It's ridiculously young. So Brendan Rodgers, a great manager. Why would you? Well, other than the money and potentially winning more, a lot of those have already won the Premier League, right? At a very young age when they're when they won it under Claudio Ranieri. So, they've achieved that.
Well, let's see what happens with Leicester, though. I mean, as you mentioned, the young squad, they might not need many to come in.
Who would you take to United?
Ndidi, straight. I wouldn't even think.
I was about to say Ndidi. What about Pereira, right back?
No. Ndidi. No.
Why? No. Oh, Wan-Bissaka.
Ndidi.
Who are you dropping, Fred?
Who am I dropping or escorting?
It's a bit harsh on Fred. Look, a couple of weeks ago, you were saying he was a club legend.
No, Mike.
So it's Jemba.
Mike, you have a wonderful career to work for the Sun. I said he was a legend. No. Anyway, just before looking at time and moving forward, this is our first transfer special. We'll hopefully and definitely have another one coming. But to end this wonderful segment in this transfer session, the next thing we're going to talk about is Neil's favorite team. I mean, I used to think Mr. Thanos and the angry one didn't like Tottenham, but it's all about Neil and Tottenham. So looking at the Tottenham squad and looking at the squad that they have now, Mr. Thanos, do they need improvement?
They need a striker.
So they have
what? They've got Harry Kane.
They always need a backup striker. It's a year after year question. They need a backup striker.
So I mean, if you look at the Tottenham, the way the Tottenham Hurricane, the way they have displayed their squad, they have forwards. Now they didn't put their striker, they put their forwards. So their forwards is Son Heung-min, Harry Kane, Brian Gill, Steven Bergwijn, and Lucas Moura, Dane Scarlett, Jack Clark, and Dylan Makande. I mean, even our good friend Troy Parrott is not on this squad. He's on loan. Okay. So you think they need a striker, Mr. Thanos?
They need I know Harry Kane's had a poor first half of the season, but it's the same question. What happens if Harry Kane's missing? What do Tottenham?
Well, he has been missing all season,
and they've tried to address it season after season, but they haven't. They never have done. If Harry Kane's missing, a lot of reliance is on Son.
Okay.
What about their defense?
Tottenham's problem.
Mike, who do you think they need in defense?
Defense.
At the moment, the defenders are Matt Doherty, Reguilon, Romero, Sanchez, Royal, Joe Rodden, Eric Dyer, Takanga, Ben Davis, Fagan Walcott.
Jesus. Half of those guys are just nobody. So basically, that already says what they need right there. We talk about it.
This is the best one. They have a guy called Brooklyn Lions Foster.
So look, that says it all. They sort out the back. Also, their captain L'Oreal, I know you pronounce his name.
Maurice.
Yeah, him. Yeah, L'Oreal, the face cream. But anyway, he's out of contract soon, isn't he? And he's their captain, so they're gonna need to sort that out.
You have never looked at Neil. You have never looked at Tottenham and gone, or they have a goalkeeping problem. They've always been solid in the goalkeeping department. It's other areas that they seem to struggle. So what do you think they need improvement with their squad? Or is it just...
I think Spurs has had again, they need a project, they need to stick with somebody, and they need to figure out what they're doing. And that's been the downfall of Spurs and the downfall of United of not seeing that project through.
Stick to Spurs.
I am sticking to Spurs, but I'm just saying there's a problem with both, because you look at the team and go, oh, there's some all right players there, but then you go through, you're reading out a load of youth players that have got in the squad due to COVID and injuries. I look at the Tottenham squad and I think they need a quality centre back that can command the centre, and then they need another centre back that can command with him just in case he's out, because they've got no one else they can trust. In midfield, they've got players that have been bought in for way too much money, like Pepe, that are just sitting there going, like, I'm rubbish, no one's going to want me. And Dombele, Lo Celso, no Spurs players, no Spurs fans even like Holberg. Skips, or I mean, he's young. Dele Alli doesn't want to play. Winks is probably the only player that anyone goes, he puts a good effort in and a shift in. So they need a overhaul in midfield. Up front, they need a striker that can take Harry Kane's place for when he eventually gets the big money move that he deserves for putting up with all the rubbish he's put up with for the last 8 trophyless seasons, or however long it's been at Spurs. But he does deserve bigger and better, and I don't think there's anyone that would deny him that opportunity other than Daniel Levy. Min Son is an absolute worldly player, and I don't know, there's got to be loads of players in the world just wanting to play with him up top, because he runs for you. He makes the moves. He makes a lazy Harry Kane look decent on that pitch. So I think two decent strikers, and then an overhaul everywhere else in the shit. And if they do lose Hugo Lloris, and you're thinking of shampoo, by the way, Mike, not face cream, for L'Oreal, then they need another goalkeeper. And you're right, they haven't really struggled for keepers in previous years. They've had some decent ones, but maybe Kasper Schmeichel will go there at the age of 36 if Leicester decide to sell him on. But at the moment, they need a good overhaul.
I mean, if you leave Neil here, he could talk non-stop. The man doesn't even take a breath. Just goes on.
I breathe through my nose.
Yeah, are you sure? just
I thought you were mouth breathing, to be honest. But anyway.
All right, people. Well, this brings us to the end of our transfer special, the first part. We shall have another transfer special in the weeks to come, of course, as the window is still open. If you've liked what you've heard, please watch, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. You have seen the boys dissect the different teams. Okay, people. Happy New Year again, and thank you, the angry one, Mr. Thanos, Mr. Number 1 Tottenham hater, and we shall see you soon. Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen. Good night. Goodbye.